on your journey from paycheck to pension. If you're ready to take your finances to the next level, you're in the right place. It's time to take control of your future, starting now, and we're doing it live. Hi, we're the Stidhams, and our goal is to help you get self-directed. It's the tax-free income that will shape your legacy. It's wealth, time, and the freedom you deserve. What you're about to learn will enable you to make confident and strategic moves. It means gaining complete control to invest in what you want when you want. We've helped thousands of people just like you. And if they can do it, you can too. So we hope you're ready, because it's about time that your money started working for you. And we're so excited that you chose us to show you how.
Starting right now.
Well, good evening. Get in here. We have a pretty interesting topic this evening that has a particular audience, but we hope that this helps somebody, because you've been getting a lot of calls on this particular topic from, it's almost a plague that's starting to wave over people, right?
So here's the thing. We've been talking a lot about you can be debt-free and broke at the same time. And so the message that I think is being missed, because there's a lot of people upset about me saying, hey, don't worry about paying off your home. Focus on building wealth. And there's a lot of people that are upset with me because they're going, how ridiculous is that? Of course I should pay off my home. Of course I should get rid of that debt. And they're missing the message. The message is this: we only have a select number of compound cycles. We'll get into what compound cycles are. But because we only have a select number of compound cycles, our main objective should be to get that money get that money compounding as quickly as possible. And so today's example kind of highlights the impact of, when you're running out of compound cycles, your ability to be able to, the choices you have available to you to start generating and building wealth starts to diminish. And so what we're going to walk through today is, again, a lot of the conversations I've been having have been people who are approaching retirement age or in retirement, and they're trying to stay retired or become retired. And so they're trying to take these sums of money that they have and put them to work. And there's a lot of strategies that we talk about: velocity banking, right, infinite banking, how to use a HELOC, all of those things. And so it's, hey, can these strategies work for me? I know I'm starting late. I know I may not be as deep off into my retirement preparation as I should be. But is it too late for me? What are some of those strategies that can help? And so that's kind of what we're talking about today.
Right. So if we're going to talk about an example, it's pretty common. You've got money sitting in a savings account. You're healthy, but worried. And a lot of people are worried because they don't know what they don't know, and they don't have time to lose. So today we're going to talk about 3 strategies that were laid out for this client, and which one actually sets him and his wife up for peace of mind in retirement. So stick around. The answer may surprise you. All right. So you ready to jump in and get started?
Of course.
All right. Let's do it.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The goal should be, where can I achieve exponential growth? Exponential growth.
Let's just get into it. Let's just get into it. You missed it. Well. All right. He didn't make it, y'all.
Didn't trip over myself, because that's what I didn't want to do, was trip over myself. So, all right. And what we're talking about today is a strategy that, as it states, very few talk about, because very few understand how to help. Most people are, I'll call it, siloed in what they can or cannot do. Life insurance people focus on life insurance. IRA and 401k people focus on IRAs and 401ks. Banks sell mortgages. So you know what I mean? So there's a lot of different options out there, but no one ever talks about how this can go together, is my point. And so what I want to do is kind of walk through a high level example. We'll move pretty fast through this. And yep, can I see everything? Can't see a question mark. There we go. We've got a client, 65 years of age. I'm going to say he lives a modest life. He has about $140,000 sitting in savings. And when I say sitting in savings, I mean that, sitting in savings. But let's step back here. when interest rates were starting to rise, what were people doing? They were moving their money out of the market and putting it where? They were putting it into high yield savings accounts. Why? Because the interest rates on those high yield savings accounts were starting to skyrocket. So it wasn't I'll call it a bad decision. It was a decision that was made for the times that we were in. And a lot of times people were taking qualified money to do this. So the fact that this gentleman has $140,000 sitting in a high yield savings account, not surprising. Now, the problem is that high yield savings account that it's sitting in is no longer receiving that 5 to 6%. It's quickly dropping, headed towards I think he's somewhere around 2.6 at the moment. So that dollar amount, I'm going to say, I don't know where he started. I don't have all of the information on his 140,000, but it is clear it has become 140,000 sitting in this high yield savings account. But what he's realizing is I got to move this money. And again, I'm 65 years of age. What is the purpose? What is the goal? What is the point of this 140,000? Well, it's meant to assist me in retirement. It's meant to assist with my my pension, my Social Security, and all of those things. So, hey, Donnell, I know you talk a lot about these secure compound interest accounts, and you've got these pretty cool strategies. Can this $140,000 go to work for me inside of a SKIA? That's kind of how this started. And he's worried about time. He has decent cash flow. He lives modestly. But his concern is, hey, do I have enough time to be able to turn this 140,000 into something special? And he's looking for a strategy. And that strategy balances both growth and security, which is key. Meaning, at my age of what am I, 52 now? At my age of 52, I don't have time for loss. So at age 65, he definitely does not have time for whatever's happening in the stock market to impact his ability to hold on to that 140,000. So security is really important. And what is that cost of waiting? We've talked a lot about compound cycles. The true cost of this 65-year-old waiting to get his money compounding equates to, I don't have the exact number on it, but it absolutely equates to millions of dollars lost because this dollar amount wasn't placed in a position earlier. And when I say earlier, I'm talking maybe 10, 15 years earlier to get compounding, but you don't know what you don't know. And so again, no fault of his. So the issue now is cycles are limited. Compound cycles are limited. And what are compound cycles? I guess I can make this even bigger if I wanted to. Oh, come on now. There we go. And what are compound cycles? And compound cycles is just simply the amount of time it takes for your money to double just one time. And so if he's sitting, there we go. If he's sitting here at 65 years of age, most of us aren't planning on working until we're 90. Most of us aren't planning on working until we're 80. And so this isn't saying he can't work any longer. This is saying in most cases, when you're here, you have very few compound cycles left. So in his case, his plan is to work till 75. And so if he works till 75, we're saying he has at least one more. So he has 2 compound cycles left before he's ready to start taking income because he plans on working till 65. So the question is, what can this 140K do? Well, in addition to that, he also has about $1,000 a month in additional cash flow, meaning he has decent cash flow. He has low debt. And so the goal was, hey, if I can take $1,000 a month and put it to work as well, what would this look like inside of a secure compound interest account? What would prevent me from being able to have a secure compound interest account? And the truth is nothing. And I don't know if Sequoia is on yet, but I can hear somebody saying in my ear going, but what is a secure compound interest account? What are you talking about? I'm talking about taking $140,000 plus $1,000 a month and putting it into some type of properly designed life insurance-based product that has a lever built inside of it so that it generates income more. So at age 65, can he do this? Can he? Yes. Short answer to the test. Yes, he can. It can be done. But should he? And why would I be saying that? Is what we're going to dig into today. Let's see, did I miss anything? Nope. The real miss here, or what's really being lost here, isn't just compound cycles. It isn't just time.
It's because you're losing time to be able to get your money compounding. The objective is you want your money compounding fast enough so that you can outperform inflation, because I think we can all agree inflation is not going to slow down. So the objective is to leverage this time so that you can beat inflation. So he's impacting his ability to be able to do so. He's missing growth opportunities. And this is a factor that we don't talk about enough on this channel, but it absolutely deserves its own space. And that is the impact that health has on your ability to generate and build compound interest. So these are the true factors that are impacting his ability as we focus on where to put these dollars. And where to put these dollars is the million-dollar question. It's not an unlimited list of places. Why do I say that? Well, if we're talking, let's see, what color do I want? If we're talking here, the vehicles that are in this area of the risk return pyramid are focused on security. Meaning, that's the best place you can put your money to make sure you don't lose your money. When we look at this area of the risk return pyramid, it's focused on growth. And the thought process there is, hey, there's risk involved, because as you move up the risk return pyramid, the risk associated with the dollars being invested increases. And this area is where leverage is heavily used to be able to generate more income. And so when you, as a 65-year-old trying to figure out where to put $140,000 plus $1,000 a month, where, as it relates to the risk return pyramid, would make the most sense? Well, obviously, the best opportunity would be something that is secure, that has the growth of the market, and also leverages other people's money to be able to generate wealth. You want something that does all three. Well, of this list, how many of these do all three? Not many, if any. Now, there's some structure that can be adjusted to make sure this happens, but the bottom line is, again, 65 years of age, got $140,000 a month. I want something that can do all three. Why? Because generating wealth is simply a mathematical equation. It starts with paying yourself first. He acknowledges that he's a little bit late in paying himself first, but I disagreed with him because he's got $140,000 sitting in savings. So he was doing something right. And I would say he was taking that dollar amount, putting it in the savings first, meaning he was paying himself first. It was the where. It was he was paying himself first. He started immediately and he wanted his money secure. So that $140,000 sitting in that high yield savings account is absolutely secure. The piece he was missing was the rule of 72. The piece he was missing was the impact on the high yield savings accounts as interest rates change. And so this was the area that was being missed. Check, check, check. Here was the opportunity. So if the goal is to be able to put this money in the best position to be able to work for you, you want to pay yourself first, starting today, somewhat secure, compound your money where you compound it matters, and put it in a position to be able to leverage other people's money to be able to grow it. And so there's a few strategies we looked at. One was, hey, do we just focus on growth? We'll deal with income later. We've got 10 years to deal with income later. Hell, he may feel froggy and want to work beyond 75. I don't know, but we can pursue growth. But the goal is to also produce or focus on security as well. So these are the two factors that we want to make sure we focus our attention on: pursue growth and secure guarantees. And when I say guarantees, I'm saying not just the ability to not lose the money you have, but I'm saying guaranteed income. Because at 65, who knows what tomorrow might bring? At 65, who knows whether or not my health will be able to be maintained so that I can continue working till 75. So that security matters. So we're looking for predictable income streams, predictable places we can put those dollars to generate secure, uninterrupted income streams, if that makes sense. And so, as most of you know, we focus heavy on leveraged IULs on this channel. And so He being 65, he being fairly healthy, he immediately went, hey, I want this $140,000, this $1,000 a month to be dumped into a secure compound interest account, a leveraged IUL, and I want to apply that strategy and I want to see what happens. Okay, so what happens? And for those of you who may be wondering why a leveraged IUL in the first place? Well, the cool part about insurance-based products, as noted in the risk return pyramid, here I'll show you real quick. When we talk about vehicles that provide security, we're talking about this bottom layer, and this bottom layer consists of savings, bonds, savings, treasury bills, bonds, and CDs, but also life insurance-based products, meaning life insurance is one of the most secure products you could actually have. So understanding how that life insurance-based product is structured is the piece that allows you to dictate whether or not you can or cannot generate income. And so protection against market risk, one of the death benefit option, in case something happens to him, he wants to make sure his wife is taken care of. Like, don't we all? And so making sure there's a death benefit piece to this and access to that cash value is needed, if needed. He wants liquidity. This goes back to that message over these last few weeks that we've been referencing around, do we pay off debt or do we focus on putting our money in a position to make more money? It's that liquidity piece. When you're dumping all of your money into your home, how liquid is it at that point? Versus if you do this right, you can put your money in a vehicle where it's also liquid and put you in a position to pay off your home as well. And so what does that look like? Well, if we were to focus on a secure compound interest account at age 65 till age 75, again, 10-year time horizon, putting that $140,000 in one time and $1,000 a month, not bad. We're talking about $309,500 in liquidity, in cash value. This is how much you have access to starting in 10 years at age 75 to be able to use and do whatever you want. This dollar amount is where income would be generated. And on average, I would say that income from a dollar amount like this is somewhere around, let's call it $31K per year. Now we can argue a few more thousand above or below, but I'd say somewhere around 31,000 is about accurate. Around 10% of what your cash value is makes sense. So if we were to take the $140,000 lump sum and the $1,000 a month, put that money to work for the next 10 years. Again, he's living modestly, so these are not dollars that he needs at the moment. So he's very much in a position to be able to do so. God forbid something happens to him. We're buying an initial death benefit of about $1 million, meaning this is a $1 million life insurance-based product that he's purchasing. So if he walks outside his front door at age 66, his beneficiaries would receive, his wife would receive $1 million. And as this policy continues to build, as this cash value continues to grow, as he gets closer to age 75, that death benefit then shifts to not just the life insurance, but the life insurance plus the cash value that has been accumulated, which equates to somewhere around 1.5 million. Like, to me, this is a no-brainer. Like, why aren't we doing this? Donnell, why are we even doing this live? Because I think we're done here. But here's the piece. And this is what you have to pay attention to as it relates to life insurance-based products designed to produce income. In order for this age to continue, or in order for this cash value rather, to continue to grow to this point, we have to increase this death benefit over time. What does increasing this death benefit mean? It means that we have to jump this policy. We have to add more cash value to this policy. And in order to do so, there are periods of time where this 65-year-old will have to requalify to add more leverage into this policy. What do I mean by add more leverage? I'm saying this 788, so if you do the math on contributing $1,000 a month plus this $140,000 lump sum over a 10-year period, he would have contributed $260,000. That's his money going into this product. Well, at some point, the life insurance company is going to add leverage. The total amount of leverage added to the life insurance policy, the total amount of match added to this life insurance policy, the total amount of leverage added to this life insurance policy is about $783,000. Meaning this dollar amount plus this dollar amount, these two dollar amounts are working together to be able to produce this cash value. In order to accumulate this leveraged dollar amount to be able to be added into this policy, the 65-year-old will have to qualify for an increase in his death benefit. Again, he's 65 years of age and healthy. So if he needed to qualify at age 67 or 68, could he? Probably. If he had to qualify at age 68, 70, 71, could he? Maybe. My point is, there's risk here. There's risk here in not knowing whether or not he would be able to qualify. That's the problem. And as a life insurance producer, as a fiduciary, as someone who has your best interest, I could write this policy and move on, but I'm not. Because what we want to make sure is suitability. What we want to make sure is whether or not there's any risk in being able to maintain. So all of my seniors out there who are getting on my calendar to talk through a leveraged IUL for you and your age, my hesitancy is related to the what if. And so the question that I want to answer for you is there an additional option? Is there another option over and above just an IUL? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what if?
What if?
I love a good what if. If you're thinking, what if he would have not had spent the time saving money? And what if he would have gotten started
10 years earlier?
Well, if we're talking about he has $1,000 a month, let's just say he's had $1,000 a month, and that's how he built up this $140,000, right? This is very typical. People who save money, they put whatever their extra cash flow is in their savings account. Yeah. And especially this high yield savings account, when this was like the promise, right? This was a thing for a while. What's terrible is nobody's talking about. Everybody was talking about high yield savings account, go get one. And now they're not anymore, but they're not saying why they're not anymore. That's interesting. What if he would have put that $1,000? So I did the numbers. If he would have started, it would have taken him about 12 years at $1,000 a month to hit $140,000.
Got it.
Okay, you guys with me? If that would have been age 53. So if he would have started at age 53, which sounds like maybe you spent your time paying off your mortgage or whatever the case is, and now this is where you've got some extra cash flow, right, to put into your savings, or maybe your cash flow has increased because of that. Who knows? The point is, $1,000 a month. Now that we've seen what this income would do, right? Starting at 65, putting in the lump sum at $1,000 a month over 12 years. Do you already have this set up for them?
I don't.
Okay. $55,000 a year.
This is a great call.
Yeah, $55,000 a year. Let's see what happens though if he were, let's say, 2 years earlier. Now he would have had it at age 75. The difference would have been $75,000. So that's $20,000 more each year, tax-free, that he could have taken. This is where we don't know what we don't know,
right?
But it's also where our belief systems around money are failing us, because we are committed to these strategies for decades, right? Only to wake up and learn that's not working. The math is not mathing. What am I going to do with $140,000? If you don't know that the average 401k balance is around $250,000. And I'm saying average of those who have a 401k account, not just average for all Americans, right? Those who have a 401k leave the workplace or approach that time period with about that much. So that's still not enough. Welcome to what's not enough, okay? But we're going to talk about what to do with it. But here's the point. If you're 51, if you're 50, if you're 45, if you're 40 and you're watching this, this should be a wake-up call. If you're not 65 and you're 60, or you're 57 or you're 56, see this as the writing on the wall of why time is the most valuable asset that we have. Hands down. It's not on the risk pyramid. Time wasn't a box on that pyramid, right?
True.
But anyway, I wanted to share that just the difference there. And you can pull it up on the calculator if you're able to, and show them later just to prove what I'm talking about here. But the idea that if whether it's going into a savings account, whether it's going into a CD, whether it's going into some vehicle that is not going to guarantee you income. Because mind you, he wouldn't be having a conversation about life insurance if some of that money that he was allocating every month were also going into a life insurance policy, right? So these boxes that we want to check, they're not just boxes that we would be nice to check. This is a strategy. So these are boxes that you can now check and say, I'm checking 2 boxes with one move. And that's the important part to hold on to. Sometimes we think about these things like, well, I'll do this first, or this is more important that I do. It's just simple information to now know, hopefully now, that maybe I need to do the math all the way through, all the way forward, and see how this is going to pan out for me. Because what is $140,000 going to do for them? Let's just say we add another 2 years or 5 years to that savings, right?
Well, we will actually get there, because what I also took a look at is, what if that 140 was to stay in that high yield savings account?
Okay.
And what I did was I didn't keep it at the 5-6% that it is. I didn't put it at the 2 point whatever it is right now. I was right there in the middle. So what if it was a 3.5% over the next 10 years? What would that look like? We'll talk about that as well.
Yeah. And maybe I was a spoiler alert, what I just shared, but the idea that time, what could we do? Well, we can't go backwards. We can only go forward. So what can we do now? But for those of you who are watching and you're wondering, how could this have been different if he would have just put it in a different place for this entire time? Now you know. All right, let's go back.
And so, because I think you bring up a very, very great point, and that's because what we talk about often is there are many ways to 10. This is not the only solution, nor is what he should or could have done prior to this. There's only one way either. There are a few different ways to go about it, but the moral of the story is this is where we are. He's 65 years of age, and if he was to take this dollar amount and get it to work for him, this is what we're referencing. About $31,000 a year starting at age 75. And from his perspective, he was happy with this. This is okay. He understands it's not as much as it could be. He understands that it would be much different had he started 10 years earlier or 5 years earlier, but this is where we are. And what he likes is this. And what he really likes is that if something happens to him, his family's taken care of. But what is a leveraged IUL? Like, what are we even talking about? Well, a leveraged IUL is simply an indexed universal life insurance policy that has leverage built inside of it, has a match that is used inside of it to generate more wealth. But an IUL in general is a permanent life insurance product. If structured correctly, is built with market protection. In most cases, it's a 0% floor. In this case, it's absolutely a 0% floor, meaning the money you contribute into this policy is going into a life insurance-based product that is protected. The only guarantee in this life insurance-based product is you can't lose any of the money you made, and you can't lose any of the money that you've contributed into this policy due to market risk. That guarantee is important. It does have index growth. There is a annual point-to-point call option that is done inside of this policy using the S&P 500 specifically in this strategy. So therefore, there is a market play. But remember, what does the market offer? The market offers growth. So there's a growth option with a 0% floor, which protects you. And then when you add that leverage, you gain that accelerated growth. And when it's time to start taking income, it's all about that tax-free usage or tax-free accessibility to your cash value to be able to spend as income. This tax-free income, this is like having a Roth account, but having full access to all of your liquidity upfront. So it's pretty powerful. And as your cash value increases, that becomes liquidity that you have available to you right now. You do not have to wait till retirement age to be able to touch your money. Now we're talking about a 65-year-old, so retirement age doesn't even play a role here. So there's no penalty on being able to access your funds regardless. But for those of you who are not, what makes this so powerful is you get to dictate what that retirement age is. There's not some government or some job that's telling you when you can touch your money, which is important. So the other option is, what if though we focused on an annuity? And this is something that we skim over on this channel a lot, but we haven't really kind of deep dive or dug a little bit more into as it relates. And so the idea is this: because this gentleman is 65 and he is in need of guaranteed income, are there annuity-based vehicles out there that can provide him the guaranteed income he's looking for while also providing the security? And the short answer to that question is yes. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of annuities out there. So which one you get, who you get it from, how it's structured, it's the same conversation as it relates to properly designed cash value life insurance based products. But if we were to look at a guaranteed income annuity and simply drop that $140,000 into it, the goal at that point would be to generate guaranteed income, and that annuity would produce a guaranteed $23,000. We'll dig into it, and starting at age 75. So again, 10-year time horizon, putting $140,000 lump sum into this annuity to generate guaranteed income for the rest of his life. Not a guaranteed income over a certain period of time, but a guaranteed income forever. And then the payments will continue regardless of whether the market is performing or not, regardless of whether his entire contributed premium was depleted. Does not matter. That income continues for the rest of his life. And again, that's that protection against longevity. He can't outlive his money. And that's the issue with a lot of the clients that I have around this age group. The concern is, I may be able to retire for 5 years, but then I have to put myself on a plan or get myself mentally prepared to have to go back to work. So is there a vehicle that could accomplish this goal? Absolutely. And the trade-off of an annuity, because his time horizon is so specific, because if we were talking about a longer time horizon, this vehicle, I wouldn't even make it an option. But because his time horizon is so specific, that's what makes this impactful. See. Yep. And so what does that look like? And there's a lot of numbers here. I am not going to go over all of them, but I will high level just highlight the areas to focus. The dollar amount that he's contributing is here. So he's putting in that $140,000, and this is assuming what you're looking at is an assumption of, let me put it here, 0% growth forever. Meaning, if the money contributed into this annuity never grew, if the market crashed every year, what would be the impact on that $140,000? And you can see here that it continues to dip. But the beauty of it all is at the end of the annuitization period, oh, made this too big. There we go. The end of the annuitization period, end of that 10-year period, he would have accumulated, again, even if the market crashed every year, he would have accumulated a total of $329,000 with a lifetime withdrawal percentage of 6.7%, producing $22,000 forever. Again, $329,000 guaranteed for the full duration of his lifespan, producing $22,000 for the rest of his life. Now, because the dollar amount being contributed into this annuity is a dollar amount from a savings account. This is not a qualified account that he's moving into an annuity. So this is coming from savings. Well, the way taxes work when it comes with money coming from savings is that $140,000 he put in, he's already paid taxes on. But any growth above his basis, so the difference between $140,000 and $329,000 is the amount that he would be paying. Is the amount that he would be paying taxes on. So anything above $140,000 is what he'd end up paying normal income tax on. So this dollar amount isn't a tax-free dollar amount, but it is a guaranteed income for life. So again.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes,
If it's income, then potentially 20 years from now, this could also impact your eligibility or the amount of supplemental, right? Social Security, Medicaid. This could impact what resources you have access to because it's considered income.
That is true.
Whereas with a leveraged IUL, the actual income that you're taking is
borrowed dollars, so therefore it doesn't impact your ability. That is true.
Or logged as taxable income.
That is true.
Okay, just wanted to clear that up, because as we're getting older, we're thinking about these things. One, care, because time is the most valuable asset, but so is health, right? Healthcare is wealth care in this sense. And so if we're not using this as part of the equation and we're not considering care, what that would require, how much that would cost, what those figures would even look like. So when we're looking at, yeah, I could live off of 23,000 a year, or me and my wife could make that work with the other supplements that we have coming in. Just we got to do all the math, right?
Right.
All of the pieces in the equation. Okay.
That's right. And so, and again, what we're looking at though are two options. Option two was, hey, what if we take that lump sum and dump it into an annuity? Option one was, well, what if we take that lump sum plus that monthly amount and dump it into a leveraged IUL? So we're just comparing two options. Lump sum in an annuity or lump sum into an IUL plus $1,000 a month. So what does that look like comparatively? Oh, I guess before I do that, I should explain what an annuity is. I guess I missed that.
Gosh, Sequoia would be so proud of you right now.
Not a problem. But what is an annuity? So again, we talked about a leveraged IUL. What a leveraged IUL is, it's an indexed universal life insurance based product. But what is an annuity? Well, an annuity is just a life insurance contract as well. And in most cases, an annuity has a death benefit as well. And what's cool about annuities is there's so many different types that it truly depends on how it's structured as to what it can or cannot do for you. So can you produce guaranteed income streams? Absolutely. Premium payments, you can put in, there are annuities out there that you can make premium contributions into. Those don't function very well. In most cases, annuities are designed to take a large sum, capture that sum, grow that sum, and then produce a guaranteed dollar amount at the end. And again, because there are many, many types. There are fixed index annuities, variable, and they all have their different risk and different rewards. So what I would say is, if this is an example that resonates with you, this is not a one size fits all. Just because you may be 65 as well, and just because you may have a lump sum as well, does not mean that this particular type of annuity would be the annuity that fits you. And that's where we just have to sit down, break things down, and talk through what your goals are, what you're hoping to accomplish. But the bottom line is, an annuity is a life insurance-based product that is designed to build and generate or grow income over time. That's it. Hard stop.
Well,
Yes,
there are a few instances where an annuity is really a strong option for people.
Absolutely.
So this isn't a bash on annuities, because it's definitely not that. Everything I feel like has its
Yeah, I hope I'm not coming off that way.
No.
Okay.
I hope I'm not coming off that way. I just think that for this particular case, and that's where presenting your case is so important. No different than him doing the math without any guidance. This is what I'm doing, and I'm just going to rinse and repeat through the years. And as time goes on, it just got to be $140,000 in the savings account. And unfortunately, he did not get the returns that look like, well, this isn't going to last very long. What am I going to do now, right? Especially as good as him and his wife.
Right.
And I think that the concept here of seeing just the differences, like we're already seeing taxable income versus non-taxable income. There's already some differences that have people going like, why would I do that? Well, there are some instances where you would want that this is actually far better than, or the best option for somebody. What would those be, really quick, while we're just talking about annuities in general?
Yeah, and I know I talk very fast and move because one of the biggest issue is, when we're talking about life insurance-based products require an exam, require you to be healthy. An annuity does not. An annuity, there's no health requirement for you. So his ability to be able to know that I'm able to generate this guaranteed income, yeah, it's less than 31,000, but it's guaranteed. It cannot be taken from me regardless of what happens to me, is important. So that health requirement piece is a huge factor in this process.
Okay, so what about the type of money though? The type of funds or where those funds are coming from? That couldn't that be a factor as well? You want to speak on that?
Absolutely. Annuities, what are great about annuities is they receive whatever the dollar, however the dollar amount is, meaning it can be a savings dollar amount, it can be qualified, meaning it could be an IRA 401k that's transferred into an annuity. So it could take qualified dollars, it could take Roth or deferred tax dollars as well. So there's annuities allow you to structure them so that they can receive any type of denomination of dollar that you want, whereas life insurance-based products, they do not. Life insurance-based products do not allow you to contribute qualified money in them. So yes, there is absolutely a stipulation there as well.
Yeah, so someone who is not wanting to take the risk, especially like one market hit, can you imagine if this money wasn't in his savings account and this money was in money market accounts, right?
Right.
And one market crash, he would not have the years to recover. It takes about average of what,
Easily.
7 years to recover,
Yeah,
just to get back.
depending on the percentage of loss, kind of dictates the amount of time it would take to recover. But yeah.
Right. And so just to get back to where you were, not even recover in terms of like what you lost actually in growth.
Right.
So if you're in a position like this where you're going, this could not happen to me. I would not be able to recover. I cannot risk any loss, and I have to have guaranteed income and growth, right? This would be another great option as well. There's a question that came in from Roger. Hi, Roger, by the way, welcome. Can an annuity be used as an additional income now or just income in retirement?
How about yes? So there are annuities that will allow you to take income as early as, I want to say, 55. There are annuities that, I'll put it this way. I always say there's 3 buckets that you want to focus on. There's an immediate income bucket, and then there's a growth bucket, and then there's the in between. And I would say those are really the 3 main buckets that you want to look at. So it goes back to the goal. Your goal compared to this gentleman's goal might be a little bit different as it relates to how much you want that money to, or how long you want that money to compound, because there are annuities out there that you can start taking income as early as tomorrow and still allow it to produce lifetime of income as well. So it's all about structure.
All right. Well, I got to jump in here. Gabo's been killing it in the comments. He's probably called out some of the terms that you commonly use before you even used them here tonight. And that's many ways to 10. He was already in there saying that. So Gabo, we see you. If you own an annuity while you are contributing, you have some limited access, but once you activate the income, you cannot stop it. Want to speak to that?
That is true. And again, there's not a one size fits all answer here, but that is absolutely correct. Once you activate that income, it's that dollar amount for life in most cases. Are there annuities out there that you can, they're called flexible premium annuities. These are annuities that you can continue contributing to while also taking withdrawals as well. You can do that as well. There are annuities out there with free withdrawals. Like there's thousands. And really it's identifying which ones best benefit you and your particular situation. And if you're not speaking with someone who has your best interest at heart, you could be sold a product that you don't fully understand how it works for you. And so that's where this gentleman that I've been working with was very specific. I want a secure compound interest account. I want to get this money compounding and hard stop. But it's actually pulling back and going, well, how about we fit a product to his goals? And so Gabo, to your point, the objective or the opportunity here is to fit the product to the goals.
Yeah, well, and that's everybody, right? That's why nothing is one size fits all. It's certainly not. And understanding could be one factor in your equation that changes everything. Health being one of them for sure. So, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and Gabo's question kind of feeds into the next slide as well, which is how annuities work. You've got the accumulation phase, and that's you contributing to this annuity and until whatever that annuitized period is. And sometimes you can be contributing into an annuity with after-tax dollars, pre-tax dollars, qualified dollars, non-qualified dollars. It really just truly depends. But at some point you hit that payout phase. And again, I think you said it. Once that payout phase hits, it doesn't turn off. And it's an agreed upon date. No, it's not forced upon you. There are different types of annuities out there that will allow you to be able to dictate what that period is. I'm going to say there are annuities out there that will allow you to start taking payment at the 5-year mark, but most of them are 7, 10, 15. So 7-year, 10-year, 15. But there are 5 years out there if that's something that you're interested in. I'll preface that with they aren't great, but they do exist. If you're looking for an annuity that can generate and build the best, I'll call it accumulate the most amount possible, you want to look at that 7 to 10. And then the types. We've kind of been over this. There are many types. There's fixed index annuities, variable annuities. And again, depending on what your goals are will dictate which one kind of makes the most sense for you. Now let's just compare the two. So, okay, we had a leveraged IUL with a lump sum plus a dollar amount. And if you remember, that leveraged IUL had a total cash value of somewhere around $309,000. Okay. And then the annuity in blue here, or I guess lighter blue, the annuity, the ending balance at the end of the 10-year period was a guaranteed $329,000, producing a guaranteed income. Here's the piece. Don't confuse growth with income. This is where these individuals who we tend to take our advice from as it relates to where we should or shouldn't put our money, they miss the opportunity to break down net worth versus income. How much money you have does not determine whether or not it's a good product. How much money you can spend is what you're looking for. So even though you have an annuity with $329,000 and an IUL with $309,000, don't confuse that growth with whether or not I can take income from it, because this IUL will produce somewhere around 31,000, me and my K's, 31,000 per year versus the, we already saw it, the annuity has a guaranteed dollar amount of what it was, 20, I can't remember what it was. I think it was 22K. 22,000 per year. So again, even though you have more, I'll call it accumulated, guess I'll call it total. Because even though in the annuity you have a larger total dollar amount in it, that doesn't necessarily mean it produces the amount of income equal to that dollar amount. Whereas you have less inside of the IUL, but the IUL is actually producing more in income. So again, if we were trying to pick between the two, I understand his pain. Like, no, I don't want an annuity. I want an index universal life insurance policy with leverage because I need this $31,000 in income. I get it. You guys know on this channel, though, we focus less on the or conversation. It is not, should I do this or should I do that? My objective is to identify the opportunities of where can we do it all? And so if we look at trade-off for the IUL, my issue with not wanting to put a 65-year-old into an IUL is simply because while the growth is great, there are health qualifications associated with being able to maintain that growth. Meaning the total amount of growth inside this policy is dictated by his health. Yes, he's healthy today, but what about tomorrow? So I'm going to call a disadvantage that health qualification. The annuity, there's no health qualification, so I can get guaranteed income, but what am I giving up for that guaranteed income? I'm giving up growth. I'm giving up total dollar amount or total amount of income for that guaranteed income. So the question to be asked is, which do you value more? Which is the focus? Is it growth or is it income? Which one is it? And again, on this channel, we focus on it all. To me, it's about both of them. It's about what can we do for this gentleman to maximize both growth and income, knowing security is important, knowing health is a factor that we want to make sure we reduce. And there's one more piece here that we haven't dug into, but the other piece is we kind of touched on, he's looking for a death benefit to make sure his spouse is taken care of. He's also looking for long-term care benefits, meaning what if something happens to him? He didn't lose his life, but for whatever the reason is, he can no longer work. He wants to make sure there's some type of terminal or chronic illness feature. And so the life insurance company has that. So the objective is, well, what if there was a hybrid strategy, meaning establish some income security while also leveraging that IUL to be able to generate and build the maximum amount of growth possible. So what if we took advantage of dumping that 140,000 into that annuity just like we saw, but in addition, take that $1,000 a month and still dump it into an IUL as well. So what happens if we do both? And again, most people in this space fail to look at all of the opportunities because they're singular focused. We are not. The goal is to understand where can we get our money working for us in the maximum capacity possible. And so the idea again is to do both. Gain that guaranteed income of $23,000, but also get $1,000 a month, dump it into an leveraged IUL. And now we get to leverage the fact or bank on the fact that he is healthy today, and assuming that he will stay healthy, I think the impact of this $1,000 over time is far less impactful than putting his full $140,000 in and not being able to achieve the income that he wants. So what would this look like if we were to do both? Okay. And again, there are some factors that we want to make sure that we keep in mind. And this is where, if we peel the layers back on the impact of health, again, 65 years of age, he has a time horizon of 10 years. Just some facts that I wanted to lay out here. Retiring couples will spend nearly 70% of their lifetime Social Security simply on healthcare. So income is important. The ability to outpace and outperform inflation is important. So the last thing we want to do is put all of our eggs in one basket and not be able to achieve that full potential. Medical debt. Over 20% of seniors report medical debt and 17% carrying an average of somewhere around almost $10,000. Unpaid bills. 4 million seniors have unpaid medical bills, and this is somewhere around 2020, despite having insurance. So my point is, health care is a factor. His health is a factor. So we want to make sure that the vehicles that we're placing our money in can assist in outperforming or at least support those issues. And then delayed retirement. 61% plan on retiring at a particular age, but it ends up getting pushed due to medical coverage concerns. So taking all of these into consideration, he wants a vehicle that has the long-term care benefits. He wants a vehicle that has the terminal chronic illness rider. He wants a vehicle that also has a death benefit if something were to happen to him. And he wants the guaranteed income. And he wants to use leverage to be able to generate more income faster. Is it possible? I go back to putting it all together in one. Yes, it's possible. So splitting this strategy, what we're able to achieve then is the income floor, meaning this guaranteed income that he's able to produce out of his annuity. We're still using the growth engine of the secure compound interest account and putting money to work. And he has accessibility to the liquidity being created in it immediately. Best of both worlds. And so what does that look like? Well, let's first look at the IUL. Again, 65 to 75, no lump sum, at $1,000 a month. Buying an initial death benefit of $156,000 is not $1 million, but as time passes, as this policy grows, he ends up with a death benefit of close to $500,000 in this vehicle, and his $120,000 that he's contributed into this policy picks up leverage of about $114,000, generating cash value of somewhere around $13,800. So how much income would he be able to take out of this vehicle? Well, somewhere around $13,000. Actually, I'll make that a little bit less just to be conservative. Let's call it 12. If I could write. There we go. So about $12,000, again, putting in $1,000 a month, what he's basically done is created a vehicle that will generate that $1,000 a month for life, even if he stops contributing it. So it's basically putting him back at even. But now this is an ongoing dollar amount, ongoing income on top of this annuity that's producing 22,000. So again, I've got a vehicle producing 12. I've got a vehicle producing a guaranteed 22. Again, assuming that he would be able to achieve the jumps required. And again, he says he's healthy. He's banking on the fact that he's able to do it. And I have all the confidence in him. What I don't want to do is put all of his eggs in this one basket. I want him to at least be able to get a guaranteed income off of this dollar amount that he's putting in. So that 22 plus 12, we're talking $33,000, $34,000 a year in total. So if we were to compare all of the vehicles together, looking at them all in one shot, if he was to stay in that savings, if that 140,000 was just simply sit in that savings account, and we can go to the compound interest calculator if we need to, but the moral of the story is if you take 140,000 and I think I used 3.5, 3.6% compounding for the next 10 years, it would produce just under 200,000 total. 200,000 total in income using the 4% rule. Why would I be using the 4% rule? Because this is a taxable dollar amount. So using the 4% rule on $200,000 equates to about $8,000 in income per year. 8,000 per year. The IUL alone is producing about 31,000 in income per year. So that's that IUL using the using the lump sum of 140,000 plus the $1,000 a month for the next 10 years produces enough liquidity of somewhere around 309,000, which would produce somewhere around 31,000 tax-free. I think that should be noted here because this is taxable. This is tax-free. And then if we were to just do the annuity alone, this is a taxable dollar amount as well, but it would be right around 22,000. And if we add the growth of the $1,000 a month inside of an IUL plus the annuity, it equates to about 33,000. And this is both taxable and tax-free.
But at least you're reducing the taxable income.
Exactly. You're reducing your taxable income. You're splitting your risk. Like there's a lot of, I'll call it wins here that are worth kind of deep diving and kind of detailing a little bit further. But the key piece here is, can you put together a vehicle that also provides you guaranteed income while also taking advantage of the leverage IUL option as well? And the answer is yes. And while these numbers are close, which would you choose? Knowing this vehicle is heavily impacted by my health. This one, 22,000 of it guaranteed. 22,000 of this 33 is guaranteed. It will not go anywhere. Which means I can sleep better at night knowing that not only do I have the terminal chronic illness rider, not only do I have the long-term care option, not only do I have a death benefit if something were to happen to me, I also have guaranteed income as well. So what are the key benefits of being able to have all of these in one vehicle? Again, we talked about the guaranteed income. Flexibility, access to liquidity if needed or when needed, as well as all of your eggs not being in one basket. So I'm going to call it your diversification. Tax efficiency. To your point, sweetheart, it's not a full $32,000, $33,000 being taxable. It is just the dollar amount that's inside the annuity. So his tax burden is reduced and the impact on his Social Security would also be reduced as well. And we improved his growth potential. These are bare bones dollars that we're referencing. And here's what I mean. Let's see which one it would be here. We talked about the IUL. We talked about the annuity producing a guaranteed 22,000. That guaranteed 22,000 is based on a market performance of 0 over time. What if the market performed based off the performance of the last 10 years? Again, let me restate. What I'm saying here is, what if the annuity functioned the same way the prior 10 years functioned? What would happen to that 329,000, which is producing 23,000 or 22,000 in income?
Wait, I just want to verify. So what you're saying is what you've been doing is guaranteeing 0.
Yes.
Zero performance.
Yes.
What if we were to consider the actual performance of the last 10 years,
That's
not
correct.
because we can't assume or guarantee anything or represent numbers that have not happened. Yes?
That is correct.
Okay, got
That's
it.
exactly what I'm saying. And if we were to do that, what we would be looking at is not a total accumulated value of 329, it would be more like 350. And in addition, the income wouldn't look like 23,000. How about 47.6? Double. My point is this is an opportunity worthy of reviewing. Why? Because the impact is quite significant depending on your goal. Remember, this is goal specific. This is not one size fits all. This type of annuity may fit this gentleman, but it may not fit you. The key piece is to jump on the calendar and let's discuss it. The key piece is to go to selfdirected.info/calendar, jump on my calendar, and let's book some time to walk through what your goals are. Because the objective is to put yourself in a position to where, depending on where you fit in your compound cycle position, making sure you put your money in position now, pay yourself first, starting today to get money compounding for you. So the other question to ask is this strategy right for you? And I say this all the time, especially during these lives, and that is, it depends.
Oh, that was a bingo word. We started a bingo card in the chat.
And it depends on the goal.
We started a bingo in the chat with your phrases, and they were waiting. Nathan has been waiting for you to say it depends. So there you go, Nathan. You got it.
Just think about this. There was I've been answering a lot of comments lately, and there was a comment made. I've been binge watching you guys' content, and you say the same thing all the time. And I think he meant it as something negative. But here's why we say the same thing all the time. We have been so conditioned to believe that banks care about us. We have been so conditioned to believe financial institutions have our back. We've been so conditioned to believe that the government wants what's best for us. And the truth is, none of them care about us. But how much advertising dollars has been spent to make us think? Because our children now think it. Our children's children will think it. So in order to shift that perspective, in order to change that paradigm, we have to be repetitive. We have to say the same thing over and over and over again. And those of you who get it, the Nathans, the Gabos, you guys need to repeat it over and over and over again. And, oh, and by the way, did you know Nathan is a licensed life insurance provider now?
What? Congratulations. Wow. Well, welcome to the team.
Yes, sir.
Here's something that's powerful about this, because we've watched Nathan go from not knowing anything about any of this stuff and just tuning into the live streams. Now he's been answering questions for at least a year in the chat.
Longer.
Right. He's been and that's where I think the power of just tuning in. It's like maybe these are like classes, essentially. Classes every week. We just tune in and we all just learn. But here's the most powerful part. Before this even happened for him, before he added this license, right? Mm-hmm. He had been having meetings with his own community to say, hey, we got to start changing the conversation. We have to start doing something different. And he'd already been reaching out to his community inside of his church, inside of his work, to rein people in and say, listen, you have to listen to this information. So the fact that now he is in the position to drive and help even more people is just a testament to how powerful this information is, because not only has it changed his life, right, and his future for his family, but he's also out there. And so this is the ripple effect. This is what we're going to do when we form a community to help other people learn and make confident and strategic moves. And we do that by learning.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, we got to unlearn some things too, right?
That's the part around being repetitive. So you're going to hear me say the same things over and over and over again because it has to stick.
Yeah. But it also is just because this really isn't complicated.
It's not.
I'm going to say that again, because it's just not. that's the part that really made me angry when I was learning. It was hard for me to wrap my head around some of this because it seemed too simple, actually. But when you learn that this is how the wealthy have been functioning, have been strategizing for centuries, it makes you even more angry that why were we taught to do something completely different? Why? Why were our families, the amount of confidence that generations have had in banking systems, in some of these products, is haunting, actually, when the whole time, they've been using these particular strategies or different vehicles, or we've taken you through the history of retirement plans and the history of vehicles, why they were developed in the first place. We've taken you through that. Maybe we need to do a new one so that we can wrap in where annuities fit into all of that. Because retirement vehicles, life insurance wasn't a retirement vehicle for many decades. It wasn't even considered a part of that strategy, but there's a reason why that they were created. And the part that people have to unlearn is the confidence, not just because, some of this is inheritance being passed down. So now you just copy paste, right? You already had your setup. And so now what is it that you can do? Well, it's too complicated on purpose, but it was created for a reason. And so now we're seeing that some of these reasons weren't necessarily for individual retirement accounts for retiring individually and having enough to retire, right? And to maintain that retirement. Now we're seeing that, well, the math isn't mathing on this. So why was it created? And if it doesn't work for people, then why do people keep putting money into these types of systems? We're going to put a pin in that.
You can mark this live. If the Fed comes through and drops interest rates 1.5 points, watch refinances skyrocket, because we've been conditioned to believe that when interest rates change, us refinancing into a lower interest rate is somehow going to make us thousands of dollars, when it's going to avoid us spending maybe thousands of dollars, but it's not making us anything. You know who makes out when you refinance every 5 to 7 years? It's not you, it's the bank. So it's that conditioning part. We've been conditioned to believe that these people are subject matter experts. They're not. They're selling products. Who benefits from you not having this information? It's not you, it's them. So yes, we are going to be repetitive. We are going to say things over and over and over again, and it is not complicated because we want you to win.
Yep. Let's do the math all the way through. Let's move all the way through what we got for this evening.
So as I was saying, is this strategy right for you? I actually adjusted this slide because it was saying the ideal candidate for an annuity is somewhere between the ages of 60 and 70. That is incorrect. And again, that's someone, I think, that's coming from a place of, hey, these vehicles are only designed for people in their 60s and 70s or later. And that's not true. You get the right vehicle can fit your needs. It's understanding what that right vehicle needs to look like. So the ideal candidate is actually, I'm going to say, somewhere between 40 and 70. And if you're concerned about market volatility, we talk a lot on this channel about keeping the money that you make, not just making the money, but keeping the money, generating and building slow, steady, secure growth. Emphasis on secure. So if you're concerned about market volatility and you want guaranteed income, how about you're in reasonable good health? A life insurance-based product is required for individual. You have one job. In a secure compound interest account, you have one job, actually two. Those two jobs are contribute to your policy. That's number one. But the second is maintaining your health. If you can do those two things, it's a no-brainer. So this strategy absolutely is right for you. It's just not a one size fits all. We want to fit it to what your needs are. And it's all about cash flow. It's all about how much money. It's not just how much money you make. It's all about how much money you can keep and spend. And again, those qualifying factors, health for an IUL, the least amount you can have to be able to start an annuity is somewhere around 10K. So if you've got some previous employer retirement accounts, we could even look in that fashion, meaning Qualified money is good for annuities as well if you're looking to be able to put it away. I deal with a lot of people who want to function in the entrepreneurial space, start businesses, jump into real estate. So we talk heavy, we educate heavy on self-directed IRAs and self-directed 401ks, be able to take those qualified dollars. But what if you're in a position to where those qualified dollars are generating and building, and you want to now skim off the top and get them growing in a guaranteed fashion inside of an IUL? There's a strategy that will work with a self-directed retirement account. Where have you heard that? But the key is it exists. Monthly contribution capacity, time horizon. In most cases, it's 10 years. I think there's some good vehicles out there for 7 as well. And then what are your income needs and timing? Your time horizon matters. How many compound cycles do you have left? Are you taking full advantage of those compound cycles? Do you understand where you fit in that space as well? And what's the goal? When do you want to retire? Yeah, we are all done, sweetheart. So again, if you want to learn more, talk more, understand where you might fit in this space, whether it's a life insurance-based product in the form of a leveraged IUL or a properly designed annuity to be able to produce income for you, the key piece is to jump on my calendar. And it's right there below, selfdirected.info/calendar, and I'd be happy to assist. Any questions, sweetheart?
Well, we do have some questions. I wonder though if people think that you're calling them sweetheart.
That will be in the comments, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if that helps set it for you, then sweetheart, we hope you subscribe.
I think that's also great feedback.
Yeah.
I think that's great feedback.
Maybe some people don't want to be called sweetheart.
That's right. It's great feedback.
He is calling me sweetheart though, by the way, just so we're clear. We are not calling everyone sweetheart unless you want to be called sweetheart.
That's great feedback.
Then sweetheart, we hope you subscribe. Yeah. Okay. There it is. All the sweethearts. Okay. We have Ty in the chat. Welcome, Ty. And let's see, let me get back up to her comment. Okay, here we go. What is an annuity? I've heard it used in different contexts, but I always get confused on what it really is.
Yeah, it's simply just a life insurance-based product that allows you to take sums of income, sums of money in general, and put them in one place. Here's the issue with annuities. Annuities, in most cases, they lock your funds up for some certain period of time. So the key is this a dollar amount that you're not needing immediately? Now, if it is, there may be some vehicles that we can talk through that will give you some of those free withdrawals or immediate income, so we can talk through that. But the point is, the idea is the life insurance company are able to take these dollars and then grow them to their max ability over that annuitization period because they are locked in. You can't access them, you can't touch them. It's just fully focused on growth. But ultimately, an annuity is just a life insurance-based product that's designed to produce growth on your dollars. Really simple.
Whoops. Okay. We also have another one. We have a comment. This is funny because you were just talking about this movie the other night. Roger says, drop that mic, Donnell. You the master. Shown up. Who the man? It's so funny. Okay. Veronica wants to know, can we get an annuity in a child's name? It's an interesting question. It's a great question, actually.
Okay. The thing about annuities is most annuities are how lottery winners have their income distributed. And so can you? Yes. Again, it's not a one size fits all. What you're looking for is a growth vehicle that can produce and generate income. I would say having your child be the beneficiary versus the annuity being in the child's name would be what that structure would need to look like. But can we get to it? Because I think I understand where you're trying to go with it. The idea is I want to put this vehicle in place such that when it's time, it can produce whatever that guaranteed dollar amount would be. And the answer to that question is yes. But specifically in your child's name, I think that's going to be the challenge.
Yeah, Gabbo's in here killing it. He said, your child can be the beneficiary. Then also said, oh, can't see.
It's more complicated to be the owner of an annuity in someone else's name, I think is what he meant. Not possible, but not as easy as life insurance.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's all of the he said, Donnell, you can call me sweetheart anytime. Rob says I want to be a sweetheart. Oh my gosh.
You knew it was coming.
Buddy,
Right?
yeah.
You knew it was coming.
You guys are the best. Okay. Roger says, can you take that 10K out of their 401k and use it to start an annuity? It's a great question.
So you said that 401k.
Can you take that 10K out of their 401k and use it to start maybe just take 10K. Can you take
10K out of a 401k? Yes, but I want to make sure we're clear on whose 401k is it. Meaning, if you are currently working for a company and you have a 401k with that company you're currently working for, unless you're already at retirement age, above the age of 59 and a half, that 401k that you have with that company that you're already working for, you actually don't own it. It's actually owned by your company. So in order for you to be able to take 10,000 and start an annuity, you have to ask their permission. And that's moving the qualified 10,000 from that 401k into the annuity. Could you borrow 10K from your company's 401k and move it into an annuity? Yes. So short answer to that question is, can you? Yes, but it really depends on what specifically are we talking. Because if it's a self-directed 401k, you can do what you want. If it's a 401k that is no longer with that employer, you can do what you want. So it just kind of depends on where that vehicle would be.
Okay. We had a question text in. Can you roll an IRA into an annuity?
Absolutely. Short answer. Go ahead.
Well, there was a caveat earlier. I was asking because there was somebody who was looking to strategize the money from their inherited IRA and be able to do something that would perform better and be more secure with those funds. And I think a lot of people are about to be in this position with inherited IRAs and not sure what exactly they can or can't do with them, but they know they need to do something, and they are just not keen on what options have been provided to them. So what would you say to them?
Yeah, a lot.
Book a call.
Because this is where, our families are just doing their best. Like, mom leaving us this inherited IRA was doing the best she knew how to make sure her family was taken care of if something were to happen to her. Not realizing the handcuffs that she's actually placing on the people that she loves. If she knew ahead of time that if you make me an inherited individual of this IRA, I've got a time limit on the amount of time that I can use these funds. I'm limited in what I can use these funds for, and they have to be spent within this period of time.
And taxed.
And taxed. Like, if you would have explained all that to her, would she have still done that? Like, is there a better way? So the issue with inherited retirement accounts is they are subject to the rules created by the individual that originally had it. So you are subject to those rules. You can't make your own. You can't change what those dollars or where those dollars can go unless it is built into the plan documents of the inherited qualified account. That's a lot. But my point is, in most cases, you are restricted because you can only do what the person that left it for you said you could do with it.
Well, that could be a whole stream on its own.
Absolutely could.
Yeah, for sure.
Because to your point, there's a lot of people who will be in this position, and there's a lot of people structuring their inheritance now. So what should that look like? And that's the seven pillars of building a family bank. It's what should that structure look like to make sure you're not handcuffing your descendants on what they're able to do with what it is you're leaving them.
We also did a live stream on a family who had been inherited the IRA, but the parent thought that it was just easier to structure it. It was easier for them to just put one of their kids down on the paper, and that based on their will, that child would then disperse divvy up
Right.
right. And so it made it easier to do it that way because it was just less red tape and less people involved in the process, which we totally understand the sake of convenience. But what that ended up doing was creating a burden on this one particular child that the others did not have because of this. This was a horrid situation where the other siblings were looking at, hey, where can I get my cut, right? My share. But the tax burden was not on the siblings. All of the tax burden was on the one sibling, and they just couldn't understand why all of a sudden their share was going to be less or whatnot. Okay, fine, we'll take the tax, but it doesn't work that way, right? Yeah, and so they were looking at what can we do about this? Well, now we're into probate. Now we're into other people being involved because decisions have to be made. And this was all for the sake of convenience. So if you're in the throes of estate planning, I don't even care if you've already completed your estate plan. You need to take a look at this and understand, is there any unnecessary tax burden or red tape that this is creating because I have chosen a convenient way of putting this on paper or documenting this, right? It may be secure. It may hold up in court. It may be a lot of things, but if it's not helping you build a family bank, if it's not helping you pass on the wealth, if it's creating more obstacles and hoops for your family to jump through, then is it really achieving what you wanted it to do?
Great.
Probably not. And so, yeah, the series we just finished up on building the family bank, how to build a family bank, the 7 pillars of building a family bank, all of that is already here on our channel in a full deep dive as we do on our live streams. And that is already there for you. You can go back and find that if you need to.
Selfdirected.info/live.
Yep. You can also find it there. Oh, we do have a ton of free resources too to help you. I've almost forgot about that. You can, here we go. There it is. Go there. Put it on you because we can see it better. Yep, there it is. Okay, so I think this is it. I think we're ready to go.
Let's do it.
Okay, well, we know that time is the most valuable asset that we've had. We've said that many, many, many times, and it doesn't make it's still true. Time is the most valuable asset that we have, and we are so grateful that you're spending your time here with us. We like to end with, if you didn't come from a wealthy family,
make sure a wealthy family comes from you.
So stay tuned.
Stay focused.
I
did not mean to say that.
Stay tuned.
Stay protected.
Stay focused.
Stay connected.
I'm Angelique.
And I'm Donnell.
And our goal is to help you
get self-directed.
And to do that, we have a ton of free resources. So stick around and I'll show you exactly how to get those. If you've already gotten them, please share them with someone else. Please bring them in and give them some tools so that they can start to do the same. We thank you so much for your time. We'll be here on Tuesdays, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, and all the other standard times after that. We thank you so much for being here, and we hope to see you back here on next Tuesday. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Hey, before you go, we want to remind you that becoming fully self-directed means gaining complete control over your wealth, time, and freedom. It's not just an idea. It's a framework, a mindset, and the power to make informed decisions to secure your future. Being here means you're taking those steps, and we want to thank you for allowing us to guide you. We believe that we grow farther and faster when we grow together. So tune in next time and tell a friend to tell a friend. We've helped thousands of people just like you start their journey to financial freedom. And if they can do it, you can too. And if you're ready to learn more, we got you. Get a head start by grabbing these 2 free books. But how do they get them, Donnell?
Head over to my website where you'll have access to a few things. A ton of free resources, case studies, and over 100 5-star reviews from people just like you. And in 15 minutes, we can explore what's possible for you. So don't wait.
Invest in what you want, when you want.
But first, let us help you get
self-directed.